Well, Lithuania was the last country to be baptized from pagan to Christian. If you're born in Lithuania and any Baltic country, you're automatically thrust into a culture of foraging, mushrooms, berries, and even medicinal herbs. In fact, my grandmother used to be a geologist for 40 years of her life. She was really deeply in touch with nature. She loved it so much, and hugging trees and talking to trees in her family was actually a normal thing. Hi, my name is Rūta Žemčugovaitė. I come from Lithuania, and I am a multi-disciplinary artist and a writer, and I've been living in Berlin for 4 years. My focus on art is imagination, regeneration, and healing. After my high school ended, I decided to study psychology because I was interested in human nature and in healing. And I moved to Scotland to study, and I studied there for 4 years and lived and worked for 2 more years in Scotland. As I grew up in Lithuania, mushrooms were a big part of our culture. However, the real interest to me came in 2021 when I started learning about medicinal mushrooms. And at the same time, I learned about microfabrication and a possibility to build and design with mushrooms and with mycelium. So mycelium is actually roots of fungi. So when we see mushrooms above the ground, they're a very tiny part of what fungi actually are. Majority of fungi live underground, and that is mycelium, very fine microscopic tubes that live underground and connect with the trees, connect with other plants and their roots. So they develop symbiotic relationships between the living world, the living organisms underground, and help to transfer food, different minerals and water to various organisms. Humanity doesn't really know that much about fungi and mycelium. We have explored a very tiny fracture of it. So to work with a being that is around 800 million years old, so ancient yet so unknown, is really deeply fascinating to me. So in my practice, what I want to do is to bring that alien type of being into a communion and communication directly with humans. Fungi are the shapeshifters of the underground. They move with the landscapes of the underground, as well as they create landscapes of the underground. So you can really put them in any shape that you want, and they will inhabit that shape. They are also at the very center of regeneration, of life and death. Regeneration and fungi go really hand in hand because life changes forms from one life form into another. My current project is called Refusal to Heal. So mycelium here becomes this alien that we don't really understand, we don't really know. And I want to externalize the part of us that refuses to heal back into generative systems. Sometimes when we are asked to be healed by our work, by the circumstances, by the society, it wants us to heal back into the system because it could continue to gaining value from our well-being and to continue extracting our life force energy. So many times when we reach that limit within ourselves, within our bodies, within our psyche of that extraction, and when our life force energy continues to trickle down into different pockets and ponds of other people and other institutions, there comes a point where a body or a psyche says, stop, I can no longer go, I can no longer continue, I refuse to heal. So why this type of sculpture and why this type of texture? To me, I really wanted to bring out something within the audience that feels within the body, that is phenomenological, that when you see the sculpture, when you see the texture of it, it reminds you of something as if it was human, but not really human. With this line of work, with mycelium, with the sculpture that I'm building, I want us to look directly into this part of ourselves that has been alienated, that has been at the edges of society, at the edges of our psyche. Because maybe it's not us who have to heal into the system, but perhaps it's a sign that the system around us needs to change, that the energy exchange has to change, that from extractive one into reciprocal, into regenerative one. So I want to ask a question. Can we relate to mycelium, to fungi, and to all other living beings that we are creating with as living organisms? Not as resources to be taken away from, extracted from, and gained value from, but a living being. And how can we develop a relationship with it? And how we can take off those glasses of extractivism and degeneration, and how we can see everything through a lens of animism and aliveness, and that we have relationship with every single organism that we're creating with. So what really brings me hope in this climate crisis, in this meta crisis, is actually that we're still connecting human to human, that the connection that we have with the living world will never go away. What also brings me hope is that I feel like I am creating meaning within my work. And also I find meaning when I'm creating things together with other people and knowing that we are able to regenerate the earth, the soils, the ground, the living world, when we make the conditions right and when we enter into a right relationship with ourselves and with the rest of the living world.